Hello everybody, we are back again with a game on Elysium this time, as is always obvious by the little gold mine puddles that are all over this map. Here in blue, today we are going to have a raw player, Soka. Raw, of course, will focus on Migdal stronghold units as always, so we will probably see that quick push towards the heroic age. Priests can also, of course, empower, which I thought we were briefly going to see. Must have just used it to push the granary up, and then is now going to actually start going and scouting, as we can see around the map. Probably are going to see some obelisks come down as well. Priests can, not priests, sorry. As I grab a pharaoh, I say priests. Pharaohs can, of course, also empower as they can for all of Egypt, and empowering monuments will spread that effect all around the surrounding area. A lot of focus on food right now for Soka. Very interesting. I mean, considering like basically every Egypt player will go for gold mine, at least on some of the first units out. Not looking at it at all. Okay, so we got just enough wood to throw down something, to throw down a mining camp. Interesting. So, I mean, he had plenty to throw down a granary and mining camp at the start, just naturally. Decided to get just enough wood to grab pickaxe. I wonder if doing it slightly slower and maybe splitting to gold and wood would have been more effective. I haven't seen this specifically yet. I mean, it makes sense. Getting pickaxe quicker obviously helps a lot, but doing absolutely no gold at the start is just an interesting way to go about it. Also, of course, means obelisks couldn't have been thrown down anywhere in this area. May not have been super important to throw down in this area outside of possibly just watching this TC to see if it ever started getting policed by the opponent. Animal of Set coming in, which will be a great transition to talk about the other player, since I've been stuck on blue on Soka for so long. In red, we have Gatoraid, another player that I know I have certainly casted, I think, multiple times at this point. Maybe only one of the videos have ever actually made it up to YouTube. But Gatoraid here is playing Set, so we'll have his Animals of Set, as we saw there, going out to scout. Also has the focus on barracks units in particular, with barracks units getting additional speed, and the buildings, all military buildings, in fact, I'm pretty sure getting a reduced gold cost, which we can see with the effect of this sort of monument is Set's effect. And that effect has been updated. I'm sure anybody who's been playing has noticed it. It was very clear, the change from the big overarching old effect to this newer, more subtle one, which has been good. I mean, it allows you to see the buildings a little bit better. It was never terribly distracting, but hey, a little visual upgrade's always nice. And we're starting to see a good wall, well, an interesting little jag here. I was gonna say a good wall coming across, but then now we got this little push out of it. Oh, okay. Doing more of a job of just trying to get the gold in particular cut off and not just going straight across and leaving some open space over here. That makes sense. I totally get that. Also, walling in, I know, you know, walling in the watchtowers is always great as it helps protect them. You can easily just throw a laborer around to do whatever you need, since houses are free for Egypt. But walling in the back watchtowers has always been an interesting choice, I felt, as you don't see them get attacked that often. And when like big armies come in, I mean, these are at risk, this one's at risk. Rarely will this one ever really be at risk, and if it is, something like really bad is happening in your base. And with that, we now have both players up to the next level. Interesting, both have chosen Ta as their target. Now, Ra obviously chooses Ta a lot. Looks like I'm gonna keep talking about Soka this game. I am constantly coming back to him. So Ta has obviously chosen a ton for Ra because of the focus on farms that just naturally comes from Ta. So getting Shadoof for cheaper farms is always super nice. Shifting Sands is like a pretty solid power. It's nothing like too incredible, but it can be great for saving units, but it's not often a reason to solely choose to go anything. Taught on set is a lot rarer, I feel, especially with Anubis being the obvious other option, and Anubis and Anubites being so strong. Interesting, super early Shifting Sands. Where? Oh no, it wasn't. Okay, no. I heard the vision power going off, and in my mind there were still units right here. So looking over here and all of a sudden there being no units, I assumed that Shifting Sands had been used to push them out somewhere. These laborers are possibly going to be at risk with these units from Soka sitting around, as we do see a more normal timing on Pickaxe now coming up, just entering second age. Shadoof about to come out from Raw, so we might be seeing a planned switch to farming as both players are going very heavy eco focus. Which in the short term, it will help Set, as Set can easily gather animals from around the map and bring them all back, and so collect them very safely. But long term, this is absolutely going to help Raw, as Raw gets all of that extra farming. Really, the Set player probably wants to push to farms super early and just expect that Raw is going to start using his power and try to make sure that you can capitalize at least some on that ability, at least to the best of your abilities. You're going to have to end up pushing military, though, and trying to deal with the eco changes here, as the cheaper barracks units from Set are really great for, you know, like second age pushes can be very strong. Going into third age can be strong. But once Raw gets to the third age and starts producing Migdal units, Raw is going to be in a much better position to win than Set necessarily will be. So as Set, you kind of have to play this in a more aggressive style. Going this pure sort of eco focus is going to be almost recipe for failure, I think. And it's interesting that these never actually got attacked, I guess. Did Soka even, let's see, not revealed, sorry, normal? Never quite got them close enough. Has not pushed this priest close enough. Unfortunate for him, that would have been some pretty nice free damage that he could have gotten out here on these laborers. When one of them pops out far enough for this deer that he might be possible to spot, but I don't know if Soka is going to be actually paying attention there to see. Farms are coming down. We're probably going to see rain power used here soon, and yep, there we are. And this is sort of where, really, if you're doing any sort of eco focus against a Raw, if you can afford it, you kind of need to push for an earlier farm, if at all possible, because Raw is just going to get like such a good advantage out of this if he's the only one that's benefiting from rain. Obviously, Raw will always benefit more from a rain usage than you will, but not getting any of this benefit out, especially since it is global and it affects all farms, it's really an unfortunate loss that doesn't really need to happen. Now, of course, there's still plenty of hunt, and obviously Gatoraid is just going to focus on that. And so in a way, you actually could just say capitalize on the next couple farms and just stick to hunt for now, although berries is probably not quite so important. It's interesting that we're seeing him all the way out here. Soka is really like trying to gain as much of this map as possible. I wonder how long it's going to be till we see him get this fourth settlement, since he already has his third out here. He has a decent ability, and that's just going to continue to kind of shoot up as he does have this, I was about to say warded, obelisk, as Soka is going to start pushing out towards that gold. Has, I guess, noticed the fact that Gatoraid had pushed out here and is going to start walling up, but Gatoraid really needs to take these vills and start putting them in to wall off his section here, otherwise he could lose him, especially if he just allows Soka to wall up behind him and trap him in. I have a feeling he's not going to be noticing that from what we're seeing right now, and one unit does come back, starts attacking. Unfortunately, these walls did all get started. Well, this one will get knocked down pretty soon, especially with the Wadjet here. But he's going to have to start doing something over here to get this all built up. Especially with this army coming in, these wooden walls could get taken down pretty quickly, especially since they won't be really built up at all. lot more eco upgrades coming in from Soka, as he's already in the third age. We're only about to see the third age come up from Gatoraid, which isn't surprising considering Gatoraid went for that extra settlement over here that of course did suck a lot of resources away. 550 gold that could have gone to the upgrade. But out of that, we are going to see Sekhmet, as I said, from Set, which Sekhmet is going to give the Citadel and the Locust. Actually, it's Sekhmet from both, because it is... Wait, no, the Locust Plague is Sobek, sorry. Sobek from Ra, which will give the not quite so useful rock unit. Where is the rock? What's he doing with it? I assume he's just scouting around with it, but I have no idea where he put it. Oh, there it is. So he does now know that there is this Migdal here. He might be able to guess that there's this third TC over here. Shifting Sands is going to be called in. Now that's an interesting, using the rock specifically to Shifting Sands and not to actually just do the full transport. Unfortunately, doesn't necessarily have a ton of power against buildings here. Yes, he has plenty of units, but he's still probably going to lose a couple in this fight, since the Migdal is going to basically be able to take this down. Look how slowly this is going. We're only just now getting to about half health. Overall, probably worth it to take out a Migdal, and especially since Gatoraid does not have like any real units that he can counter push with right now. We have a couple slingers running in, but that's about it. These laborers are having to retreat, and they'll be safe from here. All right. Interesting he hasn't walled up this at all, considering how much walling we're seeing going on. I'm just now surprised at any place that isn't walled. And there it is, finally this Migdal goes down. Not nearly actually as many units went down out of that as I thought there would be. It looks like both of the Wadgets had gotten pretty low, so probably I have to assume Gatoraid was not targeting the Migdal to actually take care of normal units and was allowing it to just auto-fire. Migdal is now coming up from Ra, from Soka, so we're going to see that actually coming out and doing quite a bit here soon. This is probably where we're going to see the big turnaround for Ra. In fact, as I said, once he gets these Migdals down, he's going to be able to do quite a bit. And I think both of these probably just took all this damage from that singular beetle. I didn't see any other units coming out that way. A little bit of fight around this gold is... Oh, interesting. See the Locusts come out here for this fight. Much bigger against villagers now that it actually got a bonus. You kind of really need to get your villagers out of the way of that swarm when you see it get thrown down. But that is the Locust Swarm. I need to double check on that name. Locust Swarm is down and out. Did not see it come to any of these like bigger areas. Oh, Migdal also coming down here. I almost feel like we're gonna need to see a second Migdal for Gatoraid over there if he really wants to take this area. He also needs to be building up some more priests, as he knows that there's a number of myth units out here. This barracks is just gonna fall. It's way too forward. Oh, and here's the effect I promised to talk about. Here's the new upgraded effect. It's still very clear of what's going on, but it's nowhere near as, you know, distracting or consuming. Interesting, Soka has split his units like this. Unfortunately, that has allowed a lot of his units to die, including his what is it? Not Petrobolos, that's the Greek catapult unit. Sobek, what is the sun-firing alligator actually called? I'm forgetting its name. Dang. Well, he allowed it to die, and unfortunately then the Wadgets died. There was way too big of a split on these units, and that's ultimately what led to that. Some minor firing coming in off of these buildings built a bit too close to the watchtower, but they will be able to put out a lot of units as... Oh, interesting. Okay, the rock noticed this Migdal going down, and so we got another transportation of units in from Soka from the Shifting Sands. Rock actually falls, so that's going to be down. Unfortunately, it looks like Gatoraid had plenty of units in the area to actually deal with that sort of movement. Now, Soka could bring these in and do a little bit more with them if you wanted. Try to get some real eco damage off of it, but it looks like he's just going to have them probably attack moved is what I assume, and they're just grabbing the barracks right now because there's no units nearby enough. First siege tower of the game is out. It is going the wrong way, and and so it's going to get hacked down. Or, okay, it just barely survives. There's enough slingers that it was able to do all the damage needed. Especially, can I see this? Slingers do have the electrum bullets out now, so they do have one divine, which is going to help a lot against siege towers like that, as they have so much pierce resist. One divine from each is actually going to be fairly massive. That is, of course, post nerfs. And Soka is now going to be heading up towards the 4th age with Horus. So we're going to see that tornado available, as well as the, oh, I'm forgetting what their names are too. The spinning bird units. Those myth units that sort of just dive in like Diablo barbarians and spin to win. Which can be super effective units, can sometimes be a lot less effective. It kind of depends on how lucky you get with the CPU's auto usage of that move. They're one of the units that it can actually be really helpful to not have it on auto use. Units got moved in and not attack moved in. There we go. They finally start attacking. Unfortunately, nothing with hack damage is in there to actually start dealing with this siege. So this Migdal is probably going to fall. And will be the second Migdal in this area to end up going down. That can actually be one of those times when having laborers run is not so good. Laborers could have come out right in front of this siege tower, killed it really quickly, and then popped right back into the Migdal to be safe. Then slingers here could have cleaned up the rest of the units. Potential for a little raid here. Looks like he's just going to run right back to the Migdal, though, unfortunately. Let's see, what are these called? Avengers is the unit I was thinking about. Migdal is probably not going to go down there. Soka's going to lose some more units. He did end up taking out this one. And I wonder if we are going to see either a decision to push for Age 4 from Gatoraid, or if he's going to throw down some siege works. He really needs some... Oh, he does have siege works of his own. He needs to start creating from those siege works. As we're at a stage where getting some siege towers in here to deal with this Migdal, and then capturing this gold back is going to be very important. As Gatoraid is in the lead, he's actually very heavily in the lead right now, but I don't think Soka is actually terribly far behind, despite what the stats right up here at the top might be trying to tell you. The score, I think, is a lot more accurate in how close it's showing things. Although even then, I might actually say that Soka is ever so slightly potentially in the lead. This is going to be terrible for him, though. He's going to lose... He should lose most, if not all, of these laborers. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, that's going to be quite a bit of loss. He, unlike Gatoraid, was not at a max for his laborers yet. His Gatoraid at this point is just using laborers to destroy structures. I guess when you have this many of them, you might as well just send them in. They can then start pulling the gold for themselves after that. Beetles are out, can sometimes be even better than just building siege towers, as they are really excellent units. Unfortunately, neither player has focused too terribly on monuments, and there is the spin to win I was talking about. Very dangerous in groups, not so effective against any singular units. Against singular units, his stabs are way more effective. See, this is where it's like, if he wasn't spinning here and just hacking, would have been way more effective. Another 2 units probably would have died there, if not at 3. Oh, and there is the tornado coming out offensively from Soka onto the TC itself, which, although it will tear it down, at the same time, it's not going to do nearly as much damage as it potentially could somewhere over like here. Ripping apart all of those laborers would have actually been more effective for him. And right now we have like very much a potential back and forth as Gatoraid, yes, Soka is being able to push in right here, but Gatoraid has so many units back here that he can be counter pushing with. We may end up seeing some like very small version of a base trade coming out as another Migdal will fall. This siege tower, probably the same one that took this Migdal, I assume. is being left to just sort of do whatever it wants. Really, some of these laborers just need to get pulled to come over here. Otherwise, it's probably going to destroy this as well. The 2 slingers will help a lot, though. This Migdal on its own is not going to be doing much because of that 90% pierce armor. But this is where I was talking about the Electrum bullets. Even just doing 1 more damage a piece is going to be able to chew through that. Haven't seen the TC get repaired yet, as these units will unfortunately go down. They probably could have, if he's going to do that, just been sent to attack move and kill laborers instead of being brought back to base. Although now that they're back together, if they turn around, it will still probably go in Soka's favor. Having the 2 Avengers out in front with all those slingers behind is very scary. Unfortunately, he's leaving all of his laborers here, who will start getting attacked in turn. And we are going to see... Man, there's that Migdal. Oh, this siege tower is getting a huge amount of value as it's being just completely ignored here in the back end. Citadel now up to try to protect this one. Probably would have been worth it to just wait till this TC was back and protect it, as this TC and this sort of area in general is not really being focused at all. Migdal going to go up as, geez, it's just never ending. This siege tower is just not going to die. It's actually going to finally get taken down here by this watchtower. But still, it has gotten more than it's worth. This is why you can't allow this to happen. Actually, if he had noticed and sent it over here, Soka could have gotten even more damage out of it. Not that he really needed it at this point. Single chariot archer is kind of doing whatever it wants back here. As we did have vision used once again to see what was happening back here, and tornado pulled down on this town center. That's interesting. So yes, he's taking out a town center with this, but he's not ultimately doing all that much damage. It's just a TC at this point in the game. It can just be rebuilt. Yes, it's going to stop a little bit of that villager production, laborer production rather, because it's Egypt. And yes, it's going to kill off a little bit of that maximum pop cap. But ultimately, that's not like the most important thing. Going on like this TC, however, would have been huge. Going on even the Migdal and trying to take care of the military would have been huge. Sneaking a unit back here to take on this would have been huge. There's another siege tower that's being left on it. Wait, is this that siege tower? Did this siege tower actually take the watchtower and not die? How is this thing still alive? Gatoraid, can you please send something to attack this? It has been left alone for way too long, and there we go. It's finally killed. That's all it took. If at any point these laborers were taken, and they could have killed it. Jeez, Gatoraid lost a ton because he just refused to touch that siege tower. Scary place to mine here, but I guess if you're going to be left alone, you might as well take it. This one's a bit more defensive, but we are going to be... No, we're probably not really running out of gold. It's hard to run out of gold on Elysium, which is actually why it can be so great to put to be playing Egypt on this map. Unfortunately, nothing but slingers, and attack moving the slingers when you have siege towers out in front for the opponent can be really bad, because the siege tower can just absorb so much of that fire. When you have this situation, you really can't attack move anymore. You have to like manually select through the army, which can be incredibly annoying, but it's really your only true option here. Now it's looking like it's nothing but slingers from either side. I feel like Gatoraid needs to be doing something other than slingers. He knows Soka's producing siege towers, and he's producing a decent amount of them, so he needs some sort of frontline unit that can just quickly take care of them. Whether it's a Migdal unit or even just like throwing spearmen out in front. Really just anything. Anything would help at this point. One thing slingers aren't good at is taking care of buildings, as you can see. But here's going to be the third Migdal to die in this area for Gatoraid. He has lost a ton of Migdals in this game. It is an absolute ton of resources. Vision used back here once again. I wonder why he's using it so much here, and he's like never checking this section of the map at all. Shifting Sands is brought back. So he will be able to get his units back in here, take out the gold once again, be able to take care of some of these camels. But lost a Migdal to do it. Let's just check in on this middle fight. Another Migdal going to go down. This time doesn't even need a siege tower to do it. He's just going to attack with mostly laborers, it looks like. This is really just turning into a, well, it's turning into a heavy back and forth if the back and forth means Gatoraid throws up a Migdal and then Soka destroys it. A huge line across this front. He's what, up to 8 now? I think Migdal's destroyed. I wonder if that's actually something I can look at in the charts. I don't think so, but I would love to be able to. All right, siege towers are, see, that's how quickly siege towers go down if you just take your laborers and attack them. Which is why, like, this Migdals, these constant deaths of Migdals, or like this one, or all that happened here, just never needed to happen. Laborers are being grouped. I don't know why. Okay, being sent back to work. That must have just been a misclick. I thought he was going to throw them in against these slingers and try to get them to take them out. Still, neither player has really done much on the monument front. Gatoraid has not rebuilt that monument that got destroyed, so he still just has only one. Soka has just now built up his third, so we might be seeing even a fourth perhaps coming out soon from him. I mean, it can be a very solid play to throw down some extra monuments. He hasn't grabbed these camels and moved them. That's interesting. He could have simply thrown down a market here and then started trading to this one so that they weren't all going to get killed in this corner. Well, trading to this one might not have been the smartest, but still, you could have pulled them to something else so they weren't going to all die in that corner. He's just kind of ignoring them and letting them die, unfortunately. He's probably too distracted currently on all the fighting that's happening up front. Which, fair, if you can kill your opponent, then you don't really have to care about your economy. Unfortunately, Soka is just slowly traveling through the game, through the map, taking little bits of space constantly. He has been constantly moving forward. So Gatoraid near the start had more control, but as we can see, there's been a lot that's just been taken back ever since Soka took this. It's gone back and forth. He still owns it. This corner has been in Gatoraid's control this whole time, though. And as these slingers were just kind of left to die here from the new Migdal, I'm sure that it won't be long before that one is also destroyed. Watchtower's going to go down, which will help Soka a lot because that has obviously been poking his units and buildings for a while now here in the center of the map. There's just now a lone slinger back here screwing with the trade lines. Gotta send something back there to help out. Even if he just grabbed laborers, killed it, and then came back to work. That's going to disrupt a lot of the potential gold income that Soka could be seeing, which is actually then super strong. I guess if you just walked an occasional unit back here even, that could help a ton. I mean, like, look at all of these that aren't being able to actually properly generate gold. Heavy catapults are also now doing just a great job. He has swapped to them from the siege towers now that he entered the mythic age. And they are going to be even more effective against the Migdal because you can't just send laborers. Or maybe you can just send laborers. They aren't going to get the chance to fully take it out. The camel riders are there in front. The catapults still have the massive pierce armor resistance, so you do have to send some unit in there that can actually deal with them. I assume this game is coming here quickly to a close. Yeah, and see, look at how long that's taking, and that's really just the divine damage from the electrum bullets was all that was allowing that to happen. I would like to see Soka just throw in even like these 3 units into this town center. He could just kill it very quickly with even just a couple units. It got so low from that catapult. New Migdal coming down over there, although it's almost immediately going to get destroyed from another group of laborers. Oh, opposite. For some reason I thought Soka had built this up and Gatoraid was destroying this, as this was a Soka Migdal for a while. It looks like this somehow got destroyed and then built up by Gatoraid and now re-destroyed by Soka. The fight for this gold is going to continue to go back and forth. And there we go. Gatoraid has finally called it. Soka was able to just slowly crawl his way and destroy enough structures across this map that he did end up being able to just take this game. Unfortunately, in particular, the pop cap was looking very rough for Soka as he was at almost half of his opponent's potential pop cap. But that is going to be the game. I mean, it is a fun one. Obviously, this was like super back and forth between the two sides. Heavy focus on a couple of these gold puddles really changed hands a lot during the game. Unfortunately, I think Gatoraid just did not, what am I trying to say? Give enough, not preference. He wasn't scared enough of the siege towers. He did not do quite enough to actually stop them early on, which allowed them to get a ton of just free damage in across the map, which unfortunately lost him a lot of this sort of front line of the battle, allowing Soka to push in and take basically 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of the total map space, which really is what allowed him to win the game. So if there's a lesson to be learned, take siege towers seriously. Don't just let them do what they want, even if you're using vills to kill them and some of the vills die. Make sure that they cannot just walk in freely. And that's where we're going to call it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day.